The divorce papers sit on my kitchen counter next to a wilted grocery store bouquet that I bought myself. 7 months ago, I destroyed my marriage over a forgotten birthday. Now I'm 34, living in a one-bedroom apartment in Tulsa, and the only cards I get are from collection agencies. It sounds pathetic when I say it out loud. I cheated on my husband because he forgot my birthday. My therapist, the one I can barely afford, keeps her face neutral when I tell the story. But I see it in her eyes, the same look everyone gives me now. How could you throw away 11 years for one night? How could you be so selfish? The truth is more complicated than that. The truth always is. Ryan and I had been together since college. We met at Oklahoma State during our junior year, both business majors suffering through statistics. He was the guy who showed up to every class, took color-coded notes and shared them with anyone who asked. I was perpetually running late, borrowing pens, living off coffee and determination. When he offered to tutor me before the final, I said yes, mostly because he had the kindest eyes I'd ever seen. The tutoring session started in the library, him patient as I struggled through standard deviations and probability curves. He'd bring extra calculators because I always forgot mine. When I'd get frustrated and slam my textbook closed, he'd quietly reopen it and point to where we'd left off. "You've got this, Becca," he'd say. "You're smarter than you think." After our third session, when I finally understood confidence intervals, I kissed him right there between the stacks. He turned red, dropped his calculator, and then kissed me back like he'd been waiting for permission. We studied together every day after that, though not much statistics got done. Our first real date was at Eskimo Joe's after I passed the exam. He wore a button-down shirt that was ironed with military precision. I wore jeans with a hole in the knee and hoped he wouldn't notice. He did notice, told me years later that he loved how I didn't try to be anyone but myself. That was back when being myself was enough. We got married 2 years after graduation in a small ceremony at his parents' ranch outside Stillwater. Nothing fancy. My dress was from David's bridal. His suit was the one he wore to job interviews. But when he took my hands and promised to love me through every season of life, I believed him completely. When I promised to choose him every day, I meant it. His vows were written on index cards, his hands shaking as he read them. "Becca, you make ordinary moments feel like adventures. You're chaos to my calm, laughter to my logic. I promise to love you through budget spreadsheets and spontaneous road trips, through your morning grumpiness and my boring stories about work. I promise to be your constant when everything else is variable." I'd written my vows on a napkin an hour before the ceremony, but they came from years of certainty. "Ryan, you see me when I can't see myself. You make me feel safe enough to be reckless and grounded enough to fly. I promise to choose you through every ordinary Tuesday and every extraordinary adventure. I promise to love the man who color codes everything and still can't match his socks." The photographer caught us laughing as I said that last line. That photo lived on our mantle for 11 years. Me in my budget dress and him in his interview suit, both of us radiating the kind of joy that comes from believing you've found your person. For the first decade, we were happy. Not Instagram perfect happy, but real life happy. We bought a house in Broken Arrow, a 3-bedroom ranch with a yard big enough for the kids we were going to have someday. Ryan worked his way up at Devon Energy, crunching numbers and managing projects. I taught 5th grade at Creek Elementary, coming home covered in glitter and marker stains with stories about which kid ate paste this time. We had routines that felt like love. Saturday mornings at Queenie's for breakfast, where Ryan always ordered the same thing, scrambled eggs, wheat toast, no butter. Sunday meal prep together, him chopping vegetables while I portioned everything into containers. Date night every other Friday, usually dinner and a movie, sometimes just driving around looking at houses we couldn't afford and dreaming about the future. But somewhere along the way, the routines became ruts. The conversations became scripts. "How was your day?" "Fine, yours?" "Good." "What's for dinner?" We could go entire evenings communicating in nothing but logistics. "Pick up milk." "Did you pay the electric bill?" your mother called. The garage door is making that noise again. We tried for kids for 3 years. Tests, treatments, temperature charts that ruled our sex life. Nothing worked. The fertility specialist in Tulsa said we were unexplained infertility. Doctors speak for, we don't know why you can't make a baby. We talked about IVF, adoption, being happy just the two of us. But talking was all we did. Making actual decisions felt too hard, too final. I remember the night we stopped trying. Ryan found me crying on the bathroom floor, another negative test in the trash. He sat down next to me, pulled me into his lap, and we cried together. "Maybe we're enough," he whispered. "Maybe you and me is the family we're supposed to be." I wanted to believe him, but the empty bedroom down the hall mocked us. The one we'd painted pale yellow, good for boys or girls, Ryan had said. Now it held his exercise bike and boxes of my teaching supplies. We stopped talking about it, stopped walking past it together. Another closed door in a house that was starting to feel full of them. By year 10, we were roommates who shared a mortgage and health insurance. Good roommates. He still made my coffee exactly how I liked it. I still packed his lunch with notes inside. But the spark, the thing that made us us, had quietly suffocated under the weight of ordinary life. My 33rd birthday fell on a Thursday last March. I'd been dropping hints for weeks. Showing Ryan the earrings I wanted from Kendra Scott, mentioning the new Italian place downtown I'd been dying to try, reminding him that 33 was my golden birthday since I was born on the 3rd. Not because I needed grand gestures, but because I needed to know he was still paying attention. That morning, he left for work before I woke up. No card on my pillow, no flowers on the kitchen table, not even a sticky note on the coffee maker, his usual move when he left early. The coffee was made, like always. My favorite mug was set out, like always. But no acknowledgement that this day was different from any other Thursday in March. I checked my phone. Nothing. Checked my email. A birthday coupon from Sephora, reminders from Facebook, but nothing from the man who'd slept beside me for 11 years. At school, I kept checking my phone between classes. Maybe he was planning something elaborate. Maybe there would be flowers delivered to the office. Maybe he'd show up at lunch with Thai food from our favorite place. Surprise me in front of everyone like he did for my 30th. Nothing came. Just the usual text at 11:30, crazy morning, hope your day's good, not hope your birthday's good, just day. I told myself he was planning something for after work. A surprise. Ryan wasn't great at surprises, but maybe this year would be different. Maybe the forgetting was part of the act. I spent my lunch break touching up my makeup, just in case. I spent the day the way every teacher spends their birthday, with 25 10-year-olds singing off-key while I wore a paper crown. My teaching partner, Kelly, brought cupcakes. The kids made me cards with too much glue and misspelled words that made me smile. "Happy birthday, Mrs. Walker. You are the goodest teacher," I texted Ryan around lunch. "Thanks for all the birthday wishes this morning." He texted back 2 hours later. "Crazy day. Budget meeting ran long. See you tonight." No acknowledgement, no happy birthday. Nothing. I drove home planning what I'd say, how hurt I was, how forgotten I felt, how we needed to talk about us, really talk, not just dance around the edges of our problems. But when I pulled into our driveway at 4:30, Ryan's car wasn't there. Unusual. He was always home by 4:15, as predictable as everything else in our life. Inside, the house looked exactly like I'd left it. No hidden decorations, no surprise waiting. I poured a glass of wine and sat on the couch, still wearing my teaching clothes and paper crown, waiting. 5 o'clock became 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock became 7 o'clock. He didn't answer my calls. His texts were short. "Sorry, running late. Warren needed help with the Peterson project." By 8 o'clock, I'd finished half the bottle of wine and ordered Chinese takeout for one. By 9 o'clock, I'd cried off my makeup and changed into sweats. By 10 o'clock, when Ryan finally walked through the door looking exhausted and annoyed, I was done. "Hey," he said, dropping his laptop bag by the door. Sorry, nightmare day. Warren completely screwed up the calculations and I had to... He stopped, finally looking at me. At the smeared mascara, the empty wine bottle, the paper crown now crumpled on the coffee table. What's wrong? Do you know what today is? He pulled out his phone, checking his calendar like the date might tell him something profound. I watched the realization dawn on his face, followed immediately by horror. Oh God, Becca, I'm so sorry. Your birthday, I completely... Forgot. You forgot. The Peterson project has been consuming everything. Warren's been on my case, and with the quarterly reports due... Stop. I stood up, swaying slightly from the wine. Just stop. He tried. God, he tried. Apologized over and over. Offered to take me out right then, anywhere I wanted. Said he'd make it up to me, plan something special for the weekend. But I was done listening to promises. Done being an afterthought in my own life. I'm going out, I said, grabbing my purse. Becca, please. Let me fix this. You can't fix forgetting I exist, Ryan. I drove to McNally's, the pub where the younger teachers went to complain about parents and drink away their student loan payments. I wasn't planning anything. I just needed to be somewhere I felt visible. Jake was at the bar. He taught PE at the middle school, had been flirting with me at district meetings for 2 years. Nothing serious. Just comments about my smile, offers to buy me drinks, suggestions that I deserved someone who appreciated me. I'd always brushed him off, mentioned my husband, changed the subject. That night, I didn't. He bought me a birthday shot. Then another. Told me I looked beautiful even with smeared makeup. Said 33 looked good on me. When the bars started closing and he offered to make me a birthday cake at his apartment, I actually have mix and everything. I said yes. His apartment was exactly what you'd expect from a 30-year-old PE teacher. Basketball posters, mismatched furniture, a kitchen that had never seen a real meal cooked in it. But he actually did have cake mix, the cheap kind from the dollar store. He fumbled with the box, reading the directions out loud like they were complicated literature. Okay, so we need eggs and oil. I definitely have eggs. Oil? He opened 3 cabinets before finding vegetable oil that looked ancient. I sat on his counter, still drunk enough to find this charming instead of pathetic. He mixed the batter with a fork because he didn't own a whisk, getting powder everywhere. When he offered me the spoon to lick like we were kids, I took it. Make a wish, he said, lighting a leftover 4th of July sparkler he'd found in a drawer and sticking it in the raw batter. I closed my eyes and wished to feel wanted. When I opened them, Jake was standing between my knees, his hands on my thighs, looking at me like I was a gift he'd been waiting all year to unwrap. The kiss tasted like cheap vodka and chocolate batter. His hands were rougher than Ryan's, less certain but more urgent. When he picked me up off the counter, carrying me toward his bedroom while the oven preheated behind us, I let myself believe this was what passion felt like. This was what I'd been missing. His bedroom was a disaster, clothes everywhere, an unmade bed with sheets that didn't match. So different from our perfectly coordinated bedroom set at home. He pushed aside a pile of laundry and laid me down like I was precious, whispering that he'd wanted this for so long, that Ryan was an idiot, that I deserved to be worshipped. Every touch felt like betrayal. Every kiss was another secret I'd have to keep. But I didn't stop. When he struggled with my dress zipper, I helped him. When he told me I was beautiful, I believed him. When he said he could love me better than anyone, I let that lie fill the empty space where my marriage vows used to live. I wish I could say I was too drunk to know what I was doing. That would be easier, cleaner. But I knew, as I kissed him back in his kitchen, that I was trading 11 years for 11 minutes of feeling seen. I knew, as he carried me to his bedroom and left the cake to burn, that I was incinerating my own life right along with it. And when he whispered that I deserved to be someone's priority, I believed the lie, even though I knew he was just as empty as I was. I stayed until 3 a.m., Long enough for the cake to set off his smoke alarm, long enough for the guilt to start creeping in, long enough for 3 missed calls from Ryan and a text. "Please come home. We need to talk." But I didn't go home. I drove to the Quick Trip on Yale, sat in the parking lot, and tried to figure out how to undo what I'd done. You can't. That's the thing about choices. Some of them are forever. When I finally went home at dawn, Ryan was asleep on the couch, still in his work clothes. He'd waited up for me. On the kitchen table was a birthday card, clearly purchased from the 24-hour Walgreens, and a printed confirmation for dinner reservations at the Italian place I'd wanted to try, for that night. He'd made them after I left. I should have woken him up, should have confessed right then, should have given us a chance to work through it. Instead, I showered off another man's cologne and pretended to be asleep when Ryan came to bed. I let him whisper, "I'm sorry," into my hair. I let him hold me like nothing had changed. For 3 weeks, I carried the secret like a stone in my chest. Jake texted constantly, wanting to see me again. "Last Thursday was incredible," he'd write. "When can we do it again?" Each message made me sick. I'd delete them immediately, then panic that somehow Ryan would still see them, that they were floating in some cloud somewhere waiting to destroy us. Ryan, meanwhile, was trying to resurrect our marriage with the dedication he usually reserved for work projects. He created a shared calendar on our phones, marking important dates in red, like warnings. He started leaving work at exactly 5 o'clock, no matter what Warren demanded. He planned weekend trips, antiquing in Eureka Springs, wine tasting in Missouri, all the things I'd mentioned wanting to do over the years. "I've been taking you for granted," he said one night, holding my hand across the dinner table at home. "I got comfortable. Complacent. You deserve better." I wanted to scream. He was giving me everything I'd wanted, everything that might have prevented my betrayal, but it was 3 weeks too late. The irony was suffocating. Here was my husband fighting for a marriage that was already dead, killed by my own hands in Jake's unmade bed while a birthday cake burned in the oven. The guilt manifested physically. I couldn't eat, lost 8 pounds in 3 weeks, couldn't sleep, lay awake staring at Ryan's peaceful face, wondering how he couldn't see the truth written all over mine. My teacher voice became sharp. I snapped at students, cried in the supply closet, left immediately after the bell instead of staying to help kids who needed extra attention. "Why are you trying so hard?" I snapped when he suggested we revisit the fertility specialist. "Guilty conscience?" He looked hurt. "I'm trying because I love you. Because I screwed up. Because I want us to be okay. We weren't okay. We were never going to be okay again, and only I knew it." The truth came out the way truth always does. Accidentally, and at the worst possible moment. Ryan's cousin was getting married in Broken Arrow. Big Catholic ceremony, reception at the country club. I was standing with a group of teachers from the district when Jake walked in with a date, a first-year teacher from the elementary school. He saw me, started to wave, then noticed Ryan beside me and thought better of it, but it was too late. Ryan had seen the wave, the way Jake's face changed, the way I froze. "How do you know him?" Ryan asked. "District meetings," I said too quickly. The rest of the reception was agony. Jake kept looking at me. I kept avoiding his eyes. Ryan kept asking if I was feeling okay. During the father-daughter dance, when everyone was distracted, Jake cornered me near the bathroom. "We need to talk," he said. "No, we don't. I miss you." That night was a mistake. Ryan appeared around the corner looking for me. He saw Jake standing too close, saw my face, and I watched him connect dots I'd hoped would stay scattered forever. The drive home was silent. 20 minutes of highway and back roads, neither of us speaking. I watched the familiar landmarks pass. The abandoned barn we always said someone should restore. The house with the garden gnome collection. The spot where we'd pulled over on our wedding night because I got carsick from champagne. Each mile felt like a year being erased. When we pulled into our driveway, Ryan turned off the car but didn't move. His hands stayed on the steering wheel, knuckles white. The porch light we'd installed together last summer cast shadows across his face. "How long?" he asked. I could have lied. Could have played dumb. Could have tried to salvage something. Instead, I told the truth. "Just once, on my birthday." He made a sound like I'd punched him. "Your birthday, the night I forgot. Ryan dash dash." "In our bed?" "No, his place." "That's supposed to make it better?" "I'm not trying to make it better. I'm sorry." "Sorry." He laughed, but it sounded like breaking glass. "You're sorry." 11 years, Becca. 11 years of building a life together, and you threw it away because I forgot one day? "It wasn't just about the birthday." "Then what?" "What was so broken that you had to—" His voice cracked. "Was it the kids? Because we couldn't have kids? Was I not enough?" That broke me. Ryan, my steady, logical Ryan, crying in our driveway, blaming himself for my selfishness. I reached for him, but he flinched away. "Don't. Just don't. I need to know. Do you love him?" "No, God, no, I barely know him." "But you slept with him." "I was drunk and hurt and stupid." "I forgot your birthday, so you fucked another man?" The profanity sounded wrong in his mouth. Ryan never swore. "That's your excuse?" We sat in the car for another hour, engine off, porch light on, unraveling 11 years thread by thread. He wanted details I couldn't give him, not because I was protecting Jake, but because the details made it worse. How pathetic it all was, how meaningless, how I'd destroyed everything for a man who couldn't even bake a box cake properly. I didn't have good answers. It wasn't about Jake. I barely knew him beyond staff meetings and that one terrible night. It wasn't exactly revenge, but it wasn't not revenge either. It was 11 years of feeling invisible crystallized into one moment of being seen by the wrong person. Ryan moved out the next day. Not dramatically. He wasn't a dramatic person. He packed methodically, taking only what was his before we married. Left the things we'd bought together, the furniture we'd picked out, the life we'd built. Said he needed space to think. Space became divorce papers. His lawyer was thorough but fair. We'd split the house sale, retirement accounts, no alimony either way. Oklahoma's a no-fault state, so my adultery didn't affect the settlement. Just everything else. The house sold in 2 months. Market was hot, and Ryan had maintained it perfectly, like he did everything. I used my half to buy a 1-bedroom apartment in Tulsa, closer to work, but farther from everything that mattered. The kids at school noticed I wasn't wearing my ring. "Did you lose it, Mrs. Walker?" they'd ask. In a way, I had. Jake tried to pursue something real after word got out. Showed up at my classroom with flowers, suggested we could be good together now that I was free. I laughed, actually laughed in his face. He wasn't a bad guy, just the wrong guy at the wrongest possible time. He started dating the first-year teacher officially. They look happy in their Instagram posts. Ryan's doing well, from what I hear through mutual friends. He's still at Devon Energy, got promoted to senior manager, bought a condo downtown, the kind we used to drive by and dream about. Kelly says she saw him at Whole Foods with someone, a lawyer from his company, pretty and age-appropriate, and probably remembers birthdays without being reminded. Her name is Amanda, I learned from LinkedIn stalking at 2 a.m. Yale law degree, volunteers at the animal shelter, runs half marathons. In her profile photo, she's laughing at something off camera, the kind of genuine joy I used to fake in our later photos together. She looks like the type who sends calendar invites for anniversaries and never forgets to buy cards. 3 months after our divorce was final, they went Instagram official. Ryan's sister posted a photo from a family barbecue. Ryan flipping burgers, Amanda beside him in a sundress, his nieces hanging off her like they'd known her forever. The caption read, "So happy my brother found his person," with a heart emoji. His person. Like I'd never existed. Like 11 years could be erased by a woman who probably never drank too much wine on a Thursday night, or cried in parking lots, or destroyed everything good in her life because she felt invisible. I threw my phone across the room when I saw it, then spent 20 minutes looking for it in the dark, needing to see the photo again, to study the way he smiled at her. It was the same smile from our wedding photo, but somehow brighter, uncomplicated. Like loving her didn't require work, just came naturally. They took a trip to Italy last month, the same trip we'd planned for our 10th anniversary, but canceled when the fertility treatments got expensive. Amanda posted photos of them at the Colosseum, eating gelato in Florence, kissing on some bridge in Venice. Ryan looked tan and relaxed, younger somehow, like divorcing me had reversed years of stress. I spent that same week teaching summer school, coming home to my apartment that still smelled like lo mein, drinking wine while scrolling through their vacation photos. Living the life I'd chosen when I'd decided being forgotten on one birthday was worth forgetting 11 years of being remembered every other day. I hope she does. I hope she appreciates his steadiness, his reliability, the way he makes coffee for you exactly how you like it without having to ask. I hope she doesn't need grand gestures to know she's loved. I hope she sees him, really sees him, in all the ordinary moments I missed. My 34th birthday was last month. I spent it alone, grading papers and drinking wine from a box. No one forgot because no one knew to remember. That's the thing about burning down your life over a forgotten birthday. You end up with a lot of empty calendars. I still teach 5th grade. Still love my students, still come home covered in glitter and marker stains. But now I come home to silence and microwave dinners and the knowledge that I had everything and torched it for one night of feeling special. My therapist says I need to forgive myself, that people make mistakes, that one bad choice doesn't define me. But she doesn't understand. It wasn't just one choice. It was all the choices after. The lies, the meanness, the way I let Ryan try to fix something while I was busy breaking it worse. The way I turned him into the villain of my story when he was just a tired man who forgot a date. Sometimes I drive by our old house. There's a young family there now. Swing set in the yard, minivan in the driveway, life happening exactly how we'd planned it. The wife planted flowers where I'd always meant to. The husband built the deck Ryan had sketched out but never started. They're living our life, except they're probably better at it. Ryan would be 35 now. Probably celebrates his birthdays with someone who plans surprises and makes reservations and doesn't punish him for being human. I'd destroyed our marriage because he forgot I was 33. Now I'm 34, and all I want to forget is the night I chose to be someone else's priority. Forgetting that I had always been his. The secret Jake mentioned? It's not that I slept with him. Everyone knows that now. The secret is that sometimes, in my weakest moments, I catch myself thinking it was worth it. Not because the night was special, it wasn't. Jake was selfish in bed and his apartment smelled like gym socks. But for 3 hours, someone looked at me like I was worth remembering. That's the thought I can't share with my therapist, my friends, my family. That maybe I would do it again. Not because I didn't love Ryan. I did. But because I loved the idea of being someone's first thought more than I loved the reality of being someone's always thought. I'll never tell anyone that. How do you admit that you destroyed the best thing in your life, and part of you still thinks you were justified? How do you explain that loneliness in a marriage feels worse than loneliness alone? How do you say out loud that you picked temporary attention over permanent love, and you're not even sure you were wrong? So I keep the secret, carry it next to the guilt and the regret and the knowledge that Ryan's probably happier now. He deserves to be happier now. He deserves someone who doesn't need their birthday circled in red to feel valued. Someone who sees love in morning coffee and shared silence and a life built on small, steady kindnesses. I had that someone, had that life, and I burned it down because he forgot I turned 33. Now I'm 34, alone, and the only person who remembers my birthday is the cashier at the liquor store who cards me once a year. Maybe that's what I deserve. A lifetime of birthdays as empty as the one that started this mess. A reminder that some forgotten dates lead to unforgettable consequences, and some secrets are worth keeping because the truth is worse. That given the chance, knowing what I know now, I might still choose the mistake. The divorce papers are final next week. I'll sign them with the pen Ryan gave me for Christmas 3 years ago. A nice one because he noticed I was always losing cheap ones. He noticed so much, just not the one day I needed him to. But birthdays come every year. Good husbands don't. I learned that too late, and that's a secret I'll take to my grave. That I know exactly what I lost and exactly why I lost it, and I still can't decide if forgetting a birthday or destroying a marriage was the worst crime. The wine's gone. The papers need signing. Tomorrow I'll be officially divorced, officially 34, officially alone. The birthday that ruined everything is 7 months behind me, but I'm still paying for it in empty apartments and box wine and the certain knowledge that some gifts you only get once. Ryan gave me 11 years. I gave him 1 night to forgive. Turns out that math doesn't work, no matter how many times you recalculate. Some equations only balance in regret, and some birthdays are better forgotten. If only I'd learned that sooner. If only he had too.